Beams, Screams, and Dreams. I'm your host, Joshua Wiggin.
I'm Ashley Wiggin.
And back by popular demand, we're returning the show to its original format, giving you guys the intros, outros, and ENN segment once again.
Yeah, I had a bunch of people say that they really enjoyed that, so we can't wait to bring you guys some awesome and super fun news stories this week.
Yeah, in this episode, we're going to be diving into the macabre history of the crashing of the SS Morro Castle in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and dive into a couple of other of the haunted spots there in Asbury Park.
It's got a long, sordid past, so there's plenty to find out today, but also plenty to research on your own.
You guys stay tuned. With us tonight is the host of Only Posers Don't Listen podcast and also the CEO of Punk Rock TikTok, Matt Geroni. Matt, welcome to Beams, Screams, and Dreams. How are you, man?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Wonderful.
We're glad to have you here. I think you're our first East Coast correspondent here.
We had
Cool.
Luke was over in.
No, that's true. We did have a mass hole in one time, but that's nothing like New Jersey, you know.
Hey man, he was talking about like Jersey Devils and stuff. He knows about it.
That's true. I mean, just right out where you are. I mean, New Jersey alone is just a hot spot for so much stuff. I mean, looking at it, 183 UFO sightings just this year alone. This year alone, they got the Jersey Devil, obviously, and as Asbury Park, where you reside, is a notorious paranormal spot, which is incredible. Glad to have you on here to talk about it.
So why don't you give us a little bit of the background of you or understanding this Asbury Park as it is haunted and spooky.
Well, I mean, I would say the culture, there's a lot of different stories going on in Asbury Park when it comes to like haunted stuff. They actually have a really cool paranormal bookstore right on Cookman Ave.
Nice.
That does like a ghost tour around town, and they're definitely the most educated on the subject in the town. We've had 2 huge shipwrecks right in the same exact area in town, about 100 years apart, and from that there's a lot of like legends and different stories. The Battle of Monmouth County happened in town. That was in the Civil War, so there's a lot of the like old Civil War story kind of like ghost type things going on around town. I've always heard legends of. But I'm definitely more familiar with the Morro Castle shipwreck and the original shipwreck that happened in the 1800s. That's the majority of the stories I always heard growing up.
So what was the original shipwreck? I'm familiar, actually from your video. Of that. That's what got me intrigued about Asbury Park was the Morro Castle. But what's the story on the original shipwreck?
So there was originally a shipwreck in the 1800s. I think it was 1854, where there was a ship coming over with settlers from Germany. And there used to be this thing called shipwreckers. I never heard about them until I read about this. Apparently, they were a type of pirate that didn't like invade a ship. They would trick a ship into crashing. And then when the ship crashed, they would wreck you. They would take everything as it was coming in, and like people were coming in. So these people tied lights to the end of goats and like donkeys so that they thought it was like a ship moving in the sea, and then the ship would come more inland and it would crash. And that's what happened. The ship crashed. All the people tried to like come in during a storm, and as they were coming in, they got attacked by shipwreckers. And they're like, there's basically a battle on the beach with pirates and them. And
I like that. These are like land dwelling pirates.
Yeah.
They're locals.
Yeah, right.
The classic
wait.
New Jersey. Yeah.
When was the Morro Castle?
You said about 100 years later, right?
Morro Castle was 1934.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So yeah, almost
Hall,
100 years later. So you've got all these people that are like, they're out there.
So, well, even before that, we're looking at what the 1700s here of basically colonizers tricking people into
1600s. Before that, yeah,
tricking people into just crashing onto the shore, and then just rolling up, beating ass, just to steal whatever they could get, which is pretty wild.
It's an insane story, and the ship, the people that ran the ship, like totally abandoned the ship and abandoned the crew, and like a lot. That's what got so many people killed because they didn't know what to do. The whole crew left.
Oh wow.
And then the same thing happened almost 100 years later. There was a fire on the Morro Castle where it beached in exactly the same area in Asbury Park. And at the time, Convention Hall and the Paramount Theater were only like 4 years old. Like they had just opened in 1934. So like 4 years, this huge, beautiful building was built for like arenas and different events in town, and they had the theater and stuff, and they were like stacking bodies on the theater.
It's the height of the Industrial Revolution, and people are like, "Hey, look at all these dead people outside of this beautiful building we just built."
Yeah, you're really looking at a time where like the depression is ending, and like the East Coast is rebuilding.
No. Oh, in 30s. Yeah.
Where that's all ending, and everything is rebuilding. You have these like beautiful monuments to like modern prosperity, and suddenly you have this shipwreck, which kind of brings a wild, morbid twist to the coast there.
It was absurd. Like you mentioned, it was the Depression, and the highlight of this area, especially for the economy, is that summer boost of people. And this happened in September. The Morro Castle crashing. So, like the ship coming, there are roads built in my town that were built to deal with the traffic from the New Yorkers coming down to see the shipwreck. And there's a thing called the Asbury Circle. It's like maybe 5 minutes from my home. And it was built to deal with the traffic from the people coming down. And they said the Holland Tunnel was backed up for 7 hours from New Yorkers coming to the shore.
And what was the main draw?
Let's get into
because the ship was just burning in the ocean.
Yeah.
And like it stayed there from September to March.
Yeah.
Over half of a year.
What is it at the time of Asbury? Yeah, the mayor of Asbury at the time tried to buy the ship from the company that owned it and keep it as an attraction in town. And the only reason they couldn't keep it is because all of the furs that were in the bottom of it was supposed to travel a bunch of furs to New York. All the furs started to like mold and smell. And the whole area smelled like dead animal because of all the furs. So they had to move the ship to get rid of the smell. I would have easily died on that ship. I just want to present that as a child, that's where I would have died.
Yeah.
Like if they had set that up, I would have like skateboarded off the deck. Or like played a show there or tried to graffiti it.
Yeah,
or something.
It's like, hey guys, we've got this like burned wreckage that's like over 100 years old by right now, and it's like, what do you do?
The amount of children from New Jersey that would have died in the wreckage after it was built is astronomical. So I am so glad it wasn't there.
So you did mention
there's also some controversy about like how the ship fire even started.
Now that's some of my favorite parts of the story, because one of the guys that they accuse of what do you call it? The captain of the ship openly said that he was going to fire the radio guy of that ship before they shipped, and that guy
before they crashed.
that guy apparently prepared the food, and the what is it, the captain ended up poisoned, and then the ship caught on fire, and that guy years later got arrested and went to jail for lighting his business, lighting like a business on fire after getting fired.
Yeah.
Like he had done this later on.
And didn't he also
he's like, oh, you're gonna fire me? I'm burning the business down.
Didn't he also try to poison another person too later on?
Yes.
Yeah.
He tried to poison more than one person too. So it's like, kind of like obviously him.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be.
The crazy thing in like that era, like in like the like early 1900s, or I guess middle 1900s, is just like, oh, well, you know, you give him a benefit of the doubt, you know, you just like let this man keep going on with his job, you know.
Never tell somebody you're gonna fire them before you like dock the ship.
I definitely think it was a bad move, but it was definitely tasteless of him to go that far.
Now, also,
the whole ship.
Yeah.
So, besides the two shipwrecks being in like very like similar places along the coast there in Jersey, what is the relation between, like, I know we've seen a little bit of the TikTok on the Morro Castle, and we want to share that with our viewers too. I know you talked about how like people were presenting the bodies for
So after the shipwreck happened in Morro Castle, they had to bring the bodies in from the shore because the ship was just burning off the coast. So after they brought the bodies in, they put them out on the Paramount Theater to like make it so that the loved ones could identify the bodies
inside the brand new theater,
in the brand new 4-year-old theater on the thing, and they filled all Convention Hall with bodies. Locals started charging tourists like a nickel to go check out the bodies.
And like people were just like, hey, you want to see it?
Yeah, it boosted the whole economy because all of us scumbag locals just were like charging tourists to go check out dead bodies.
And obviously that's why the mayor was like, well, we got to keep this here.
You're literally
doing great.
Death is our industry.
Yeah, you're literally talking like days and weeks of necrotizing, decomposing bodies that people are paying to go see on a stage.
And I mean, that's the pictures of the beaches filling with bodies is ridiculous.
What was the number? It was like
139. I think.
Yeah, 139 people.
Yeah, we'll have
That's an absurd amount of people.
We'll try to put in a picture right
there.
We'll
get a picture in
you guys somewhere. But okay, so with that, was there any kind of a like similar instance with the original shipwreck? Was there a large loss of life? And
when the original shipwreck happened, they had to have a mass grave because they couldn't identify all the bodies. But when locals, like when people came down to help and rescue the people from the shipwrecks had already taken everything.
No.
So they had, when people were trying to swim into shore, they thought the waves were ripping the clothes off of people because the ocean was so rough. It was the shipwrecks. They were just stripping dead bodies and taking.
They were like, "We're taking the clothes, the money, whatever you got on you."
They were taking everything. So as the bodies were coming in, they were just naked, laying on the beach, and all the stuff was just empty. And because they had taken everything. I don't remember the number of people that died, but it was a few hundred. And they did a mass grave because this whole area was known as Deal Beach back then. And that's only a small area. Like there's a town right next to Asbury known as Deal Beach now. That's like a small area, but this whole area was known as that. So they say the grave is somewhere in a church in Deal Beach. I don't know exactly where it is, but they have the anchor of that ship.
Wow.
In Allenhurst, that's the town like almost next to us, you know.
So that's something you can go see.
Giant anchor.
Yeah, that's something you can go see today. Is that
it's anchor. Right. It's not too far from where I am. It's if you're in Asbury Park and you go over the bridge towards Long Branch, you'll see Allenhurst and the giant anchor. They found the anchor in like the early 90s though, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they didn't find the
Shipwreckers didn't get that.
Yeah, they didn't get that until like 89, like 97 or something like that. It was like crazy late.
Hi, welcome back to ENN, bringing you the weirdest and wildest news stories from around the globe. If it's Extranormal, you'll find it here on Extranormal News. As if life for fast food employees isn't hard enough, McDonald's employees in Portland, Oregon were shaken to their core last week. A chainsaw-wielding assailant leapt over the counter and began to chase around employees. After stealing a drink and some food, the assailant fled to the parking lot where he was confronted by the manager of the McDonald's. The assailant, identified as 26-year-old Alice Sweet, then chased the manager with the chainsaw through the parking lot, causing damage to at least 2 vehicles. Sweet was charged with robbery, criminal mischief, refusing to submit to arrest, and violation of conditions of release. Sweet's lawyers are prepared to take this battle to court and seek pain and suffering, claiming that after Sweet was told the ice cream machine was down for the 32nd time this month, there was no other course of action.
It's a little scene out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre there.
I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah, fast food related.
You're going to get, all you want is a McFlurry, and they don't have ice cream.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I mean, if you have a chainsaw in your car, what else do you do?
Oh, this is probably one of the least crazy stories out of Portland recently. So
that's true.
Yeah. An upcoming research text, The Handbook of Mummy Studies, shed some new light on a mummy recovered near the Pecos River in Rio Grande in South Texas sometime in the late 1930s. The remains date back some 1,000 to 1,400 years ago and show the man likely died of malnutrition due to constipation. This hypothesis was taken from the presence of undigested food, 2.6 pounds of feces, and a condition known as megacolon. The undigested food consisted largely of grasshoppers with their legs removed, which researchers believe was an attempt to aid the man's recovery, and was his main meal for the last few months of life. The mummy will remain at the Institute of Texan Culture, while the megacolon and compacted feces will find a home on display next to a replica of Texas' biggest piece of shit, Ted Cruz.
Okay, so when do we book our trip to go see that?
I don't know. Hopefully after the pandemic's over. I don't want to see Ted Cruz so much, but the megacolon.
No, the mega shit. Right?
Yeah.
Well, which one's which?
I don't know. We'll pull up a picture side by side here. It might be the same.
Let us know what you think. And taking us out tonight, it just wouldn't be Christmas without a visit from good old St. Nick. A Santa Claus impersonator was seen flying high in a lightweight paragliding type craft in a Rio Linda, California neighborhood this Sunday. As he soared through the sky, sans reindeer, he was caught by surprise. The man was in the area spreading Christmas cheer and candy canes to children when his parachute became entangled worse than Jada Pinkett earlier this year. The unidentified Santa Claus was not injured in the accident as a local utility company de-energized the lines, but he spent at least an hour dangling above the ground. It's unclear whether the incident was an attack from U.S. Postmaster DeJoy in an attempt to thwart a perfect track record for on-time deliveries.
It just had to be horrifying for the children watching. It's like, oh,
yeah.
look who's
Are
coming
we still
down.
going to get Christmas this year?
It's Santa. I'm just glad the guy survived.
He came out completely unscathed.
That's good news.
But yeah, imagine being a small child watching Santa dangle in front of you for an hour. Just That wraps up this edition of ENN. Happy holidays. Have a safe and happy new year.
Happy holidays.
We'll see you next time.
This episode of Beams, Screams, and Dreams is sponsored by Beards and Brothers Barber Lounge. Has quarantine got you down? Feeling less than yourself? Visit Beards and Brothers Barber Lounge, where you can be freshened up and brought back to your true potential in a professional, quarantine-safe, and fun environment. While at Beards and Brothers, treat yourself to a hot towel facial massage, straight razor shave, and the top-of-the-line clove and cinnamon beard oil made from all natural ingredients by the Olive My Beard Company. The perfect gift for the bearded friends and family in your life. That's Beards and Brothers Barber Lounge, located at 2159 North Academy Boulevard, Colorado Springs, Colorado.
So even like this is actually kind of like pretty late modern history.
Well, I mean, you're still uncovering evidence of it.
Early modern history for
within
America,
our lifetimes.
But with these like two kind of occurrences, you know, we know from history that like the New England area, you know, New Jersey, Maryland, all that stuff, like those places, Pennsylvania, that's like where everyone came.
Yeah.
You know, in the 1600s,
the original colony.
So those are our oldest places in America outside of, you know, first people, indigenous people.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that has like something to do with like the high strangeness, the high level of ghosts, and wasn't there a very high number of seances in Asbury Park as well?
Well, yeah, actually, New Jersey actually is like semi-famous as well for spirit photography. So whenever they're doing seances, you know, in the 1830s to 1860s, there is a ton of pictures from like New Jersey seances where you see like ectoplasm coming out of like spirit mediums' mouths and stuff, which is pretty phenomenal. I'll try to include some pictures of that in here, but you can definitely see it. I mean, it almost looks
so cool.
Yeah, it's just an ethereal blob kind of coming out of mouths, noses, ears, and stuff.
Whoa, awesome.
And some of that actually took place at the Stephen Crane house, that I think you might be a little familiar with.
I mean, I'm as familiar with it as most people in town. You know, it's a house that's preserved. The most common legend I know from it is the cat of Asbury, that there's a black cat that travels through the town, and people jokingly say like, "Oh, it was the cat of Asbury," and like there was a graffiti artist for a little while that would put up black cats throughout town, and people would always say like it's the Stephen Crane cat, you know, like, and the cat apparently is around the house all the time. You'll see it like passing through town and stuff. And it's just like a black cat that everyone says is like kind of like one of the ghosts or spirits of the town. That's the most common legend I know. I know that he wrote a book related to a ghost that had something to do with the early shipwreck, but that's about all I know.
So with your experience in Asbury Park being such a kind of hot spot for paranormal activity, what is your favorite ghost story that you know from like either childhood or now, like things that you like looked up yourself? Like what's your favorite like ghost story there?
Probably the what is it? There was a story of a guy that was like in the I want to say it was like the 1940s or 50s, and he used to be like they have we pay for our beaches here, so they have badge checkers here, so you hand out badges when you pay for the beach.
Even in the 1940s,
when you go to the beach, there's like a guy.
Yes,
there's
a guy there. You buy.
What is the private pool?
Yeah, you buy a badge and you get to go on. They have seasonal badges, things like that. So this guy tells stories about doing it all the summer, and they also have they have other positions when you're a badge checker, like you clean up the garbage, you take out the garbage, you sweep off the boardwalk, things like that. The earlier you show up, the better the position you get. You know?
Okay.
So the idea was these kids would sleep on the beach to get there as early as they possibly can, so they get the best beach position, they get the best day, you know, and the easiest job. So these kids slept on the beach every day to like get the best position on the boardwalk. And one night they were sleeping on the beach, and the kid got basically attacked by what he felt was a spirit from one of the shipwreckers. like trying to like muscle him and try to be like, hey,
give me your shit.
Yeah, give me your shit. And from that day, he wouldn't sleep on the beach. And he said that he's like, I showed up every day late and I got like the worst position and I didn't care because as long as I was safe, you know, like he's like, I'm not sleeping on that beach anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just thought that was an interesting thing. He's like, I'll take the shitty position. I ain't sleeping on that beach anymore.
I mean, that does say something. Like
I don't want to get roughed up by some random ass ghost. Just like, anytime I'm trying to make a nickel out here, I'm getting roughed up by random ghosts. just on the regular. Yeah,
I always thought that was a very like funny story. If he was just like, no, fuck it, I'll take out the garbage for the rest of the summer, bro.
Right. Oh, that's badass, man.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier that you have a lot of ghost tours in your town. Have you ever taken one of the ghost tours?
I have taken one once. What is it? It was actually, they used to be able to take you into the somewhat of the upper floors of Convention Hall.
Okay.
And in Convention Hall, there's a few, like I mentioned, the Morro Castle crashed outside of there. They had a really bad fire. There's a bunch of fires that have happened in town, but one particular fire that happened in Convention Hall burned. 2 people died in a dressing room on the second floor in the fire, and from that, the room just became like haunted, and people like couldn't deal with all the shit that would happen in there after the fire, so they boarded it up, and it's been boarded up ever since. And they would take you on the ghost tour to that part. They would just show you the boarded doors and be like, no one's been in here in years. You know, they're boarded up. Everyone's terrified of it. There's legal agreements, like for the people that work in the Paramount Theater, they're not allowed. They won't go in there at night. Like there's parts of the agreement that they will not go in there at night. And so they stopped taking you up there because the company that owns the Convention Hall, iStar, that they're now renovating those rooms for the first time ever. Like they've taken the boards down and they've renovated the room. And ever since then, all the employees are constantly complaining, like they're fucking haunted. There's shit happening all the time. You open those doors, like board it back up. And that's like a constant story in town now.
What are those rooms supposed to become after this renovation?
I'm not exactly sure what their plans are. I know that they have some offices in the upper stairs that were originally meant for the place to have like as a venue. And I know that some of the employees use those offices still. And there's like a bar downstairs and a few like little like shops and stuff. But that second floor up there, from what I understand, it's been abandoned ever since. I have no idea what their plans are.
So
I know
when you went on
the building itself needs to be renovated.
When you went on your ghost tour, they explained that to you, but did you guys like feel anything or experience anything?
I wouldn't say I experienced anything, but definitely hearing the stories and like getting the tone of like what has happened there history wise, you can't like walk away and not feel something. And like there are definitely still places in the town where I still feel like I don't want to say a presence, but I just feel like an energy. Like there's emotion to that area.
Yeah, man, definitely. What is your theory on the paranormal and these occurrences that happen? Where do you think these souls go? Do you think that I've heard, the curse of New Jersey before as well? You know that New Jersey has been cursed by the First Nation natives, so that there's always things like that. Those ship fires, those building fires, all that stuff happens because of that curse. I don't know what's your overarching like theory on where some of this stuff comes from? Is it all coincidence? What do you think?
Wow, that's a hard question. There's such an odd morale in New Jersey when it comes. We have such an odd pride for our area.
Sure, yeah.
But so like the concept of us being cursed, I feel like we'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, we're cursed.
Yeah.
like I feel like everyone would be like, yeah, don't come here, bro. We're cursed. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think like anybody would take that as like an insult here. I don't know why.
Which is hilarious because I automatically identifying with that because I'm from Texas and I'm like, fuck yeah, if Texas was cursed, we'd be like, yeah, bitch. You know, like.
It's like, you ain't cursed. It was like, we can touch you. We'll give it to you, bro. Or something like I don't know why. Like, it's a very funny place to grow up because people double down on things like that. So
yeah, sure.
like, I've never really heard that before, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was true because a lot of weird shit happens here.
Yeah. It's wildly coincidental. I mean, just looking up like the cast of New Jersey characters. Looking into especially in Asbury Park, looking into paranormal occurrences and stuff. I came up with a guy who's apparently very famous, and he's a MUFON regional chapter leader. His name is Pat. I want to say Marcatillo, and he drives around in Asbury Park all the time. He calls himself Dr. UFO. I don't know if you've ever had any encounters with this guy, but he seems to be quite the character.
I have not had any encounters with Dr. UFO.
Dr. UFO is out there.
Maybe next time.
Really badly want one.
Yeah. If you get one, like, please let us know, and then you guys would love to see that too. I'm sure.
He's driving around. There's pictures of it. He's got a vanity plate, New Jersey vanity plate, Dr. UFO.
That's wonderful.
And he's the one who's like he's tracking down all the UFO sightings out there in Asbury Park, which is pretty interesting. I don't know. It's just fun stuff, and I've definitely enjoyed all of your videos and content that you create, as well as your podcast. Is just phenomenal. Yeah.
So have you ever had like your own experience with something paranormal, like cryptid or ghost or alien living in this like kind of hot spot area?
The Jersey Devil, even.
Well, that's a cool.
I mean, yeah. I know a lot. Like, that legend is, like you just mentioned, the Jersey Devil is just something you grow up with here. I've heard a lot of other like weird stories and legends growing up. Never had any real like personal experience. There's like, it's a common theme. I don't know if you're familiar with the magazine, but there's a magazine in New Jersey called NJ Weird, and they come out. Yeah, they come out every like quarter of a year, and it just has all these different weird stories from New Jersey, talks about different legends. They have like all different kinds of like cryptid knowledge and like, history and stuff. And a big theme of like, I guess if you're like a young kid and you can't really do much and you just start driving, is you get your one friend that can drive and you go and you check out those sites. They have a place
do the drive-by tours.
Yeah, there's a place called the Gates of Hell that's like into a sewer and stuff, and that's like a common place for kids to go explore. There's a couch made of rocks in the woods in a certain part of New Jersey. It just kind of looks like a couch, you know. There's like a long road where people say they see like a demon, and there's like a broken castle in the woods there, and like people will go and like ride the long road and check it out. There's like a bunch of weird things. So that's like a common thing here is like, oh, go explore those NJ Weird like things from the magazine. I feel like every kid that's grown up from my age or older has done that,
Man, I'm gonna have to get my hands on some copies of this magazine. Honestly,
I can send you a copy if you.
That'd be awesome.
What's the most recent issue of NJ Weird, man? I gotta see that.
I have the most recent one in my room. I would gladly send it to you.
I have one more question. I just like personal perspective, personal thought on this. Do you think that this area is a hot spot for such paranormal activity because of the age of it, because it's like one of the first like settlements?
Definitely I feel like anything that has a lot of history to it is going to have a lot of energy to it, and a lot of like, and that's going to attract that kind of stuff, because you have all of that energy towards people. I mean, Convention Hall, like I mentioned, it's a 90-year-old building, right down the street from where I am right now. And right up the street from Convention Hall is the casino and the carousel, and that has a bunch of history to it. I mean, like, you can't have all that energy and all those people doing all that stuff in that one area and not have some relevance of that stuff, you know?
I 100% agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm also looking at your backdrop here, and I'm like, is that a Ouija board back there?
Yeah, it is. It's a Ouija board right over there.
We got the planchette. I feel like we should be doing intercoastal from the Rocky Mountains to
the Jersey Shore.
To the Jersey Shore. Answer the question: why is Jersey haunted? Maybe it's cursed.
Hey, maybe you guys have some questions, or maybe you guys have some answers that, Matt couldn't help us out with tonight. But thank you so much for being here. And we're gonna share his TikTok with you guys. We're gonna share his podcast with you guys. Well. And y'all should check that out, because it's a lot of fun and you might learn something.
And also, once again, thank you so much. I think it'll be a long time before we have another as credible Jersey guest.
Credible Jersey guest.
But thank you so much, Matt, for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Also, you guys, don't forget, if you have a story, please let us know. Hit us up.
All right. Take it easy, man.
All right.
We'd like to give a big thank you to Matt Geroni, or Grabmaster Hash, as you might know him on TikTok. And if you're not following him, check him out.
His podcast, Only Posers Don't Listen to Podcasts. Great place to hear from some musicians, artists, and all kinds of fun people out there in Asbury Park. Really enjoyed having him on here and hearing a little bit of the history of Asbury Park. I think the SS Morro Castle disaster kind of really shows you the macabre nature of mankind, and that, stuff like listening to true crime podcasts and, serial killer docudramas on TV isn't something new, when that was available to see in person. It's something that we've always done as a species. And
I think humanity's fascinated with our mortality, and that's evident throughout history.
Yeah. Well,
don't forget, you guys, check out our links in our description. You can get some awesome merch. If you want to send us your story, if you want to hit us up or tell your story, our email's in there. You can get us at beamscreamdream@gmail.com. And have a happy New Year, happy holidays, and we can't wait to see you.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
We can't wait to see you next year.
Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.